there. Now, we got one last topic that we're going to be talking about, and that is this whole, Uber and Lyft are being heavily relied on with doctors, with hospitals, and drivers really aren't equipped to handle these passengers, these patients of these doctors and hospitals, whether they're going for, whatever it might be. They have an emergency. They call up 911 and say, hey, I need a ride. I need an ambulance. I have to go to the hospital for whatever reason. They deem them not an emergent case, and they say, okay, well, we'll have a Uber or Lyft driver come to you. And so an Uber Lyft driver gets the ping, mostly Lyft in this case. And a Lyft driver will get the ping request, not knowing. They'll just go to the address, and then they have to go to the hospital. And this is a patient that called 911 and could be emergent on the way there, but drivers just don't have the capabilities to be able to handle that emergent situation. If that's the case, then who's at fault? Because it's going to be the ambulatory people. So did they determine that, well, if we have a couple of non-emergent to emergent cases that just something happens to them and we don't really, did they write that off in their thing or what?
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
I hate this, honestly, from the day it came out. Number one, the ping comes in as a regular ping. It doesn't specify that this is a Lyft Health or Uber Health trip or whatever, right? Once you accept it, you know where you're going. Then it's one of those pings, right? Because we don't know where we're going on Lyft unless you're a top gold or platinum, whatever driver you are. Yeah, but again, it doesn't specify. It just says 5 miles northwest, whatever. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, okay, we are supposed to drive people from point A to point B safely, period. That's our job description. Pick up, drop off. We're a cab with an app, nothing more. I am not equipped mentally, physically, educationally, any which way to have a patient who's having an emergency in my backseat. Look, you may be having a child. I don't know, what the hell. Or you may have broken your arm. I'm like, bro, I honestly have not read the TOS. I don't know what it covers, the insurance, on the phase 3, right? $1 million liability. I'm telling you, if you pick somebody up and they die in your car, which it could happen, I don't know. Because people are stupid. Instead of calling 911 and an ambulance, they'll call a Lyft. I'm like, it's cheaper. I'm like, no.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah, man. I'm like, what is my liability? Am I screwed for life now? Because this person who died in my backseat for natural causes, let's say, or any other reason whatsoever. I mean, I've picked up some really horrendously sick people in this thing. I really have. And most doctors now are using that for their own appointments, doctors' offices. Lyft has a deal with a lot of doctors and hospitals. Uber Health is there. Uber is doing the same thing. And I'm like, what's my liability? What happens if somebody really dies in my backseat? I'm like, I'm screwed, or is the insurance going to cover it? Or because the family of the passenger was dumb enough to call a Lyft ride as opposed to call 911, an ambulance. Are they going to come after me? What's the deal here, right? So again, I'm going to keep it short. I am mentally, physically, and educationally not equipped to handle these cases. I am not a doctor. I have very limited medical knowledge. I don't want anybody dripping blood in my car. I don't want anybody with a broken leg and an arm in my car. I don't want anybody with an infectious disease other than COVID in my car. I don't want it. Let us opt out. Let us opt out, please. Please, please, please. Because create a different platform, just like they have, just like they have with the Disabilities Act, like they have for, people who can handle, their cars are equipped with a lift for their wheelchairs and things like that for handicapped people. Create a separate freaking place and train your drivers properly. Even CPR. I bet you, I know how to do CPR. I mean, but I haven't done it ever, but I know how to do it. But in that panic, I may kill this person doing wrong CPR. I don't know. So I'm like,
well, as you said last week with Eddie, but as you said last week with Eddie, don't touch the passenger.
Don't.
If you touch the passenger, that's when there's going to be an issue. So like if they're having a seizure in the back seat, one, what are you going to be able to do? And if you touch them, then at that point, I would assume that you're going to have more liability than just hands off. But at that point, then you have to dial 911, get them there. It's going to take
not
more
my job,
time.
bro. That's not my
Yeah.
job. I'm getting paid $6.
Yeah,
These rides are all minimum fare, by the way. You should know. And
for the most part,
Lyft, because you're picking them up from their house, taking them 3 miles to the doctor's office or hospital. They're like $2.62 on Lyft and $3 and change on Uber. I'm like, not worth it. And then, but then you feel bad. You go there, they're in front of a doctor's office. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, I don't want to do these. I want to opt out. Lyft, Uber, whoever's listening to this, please, we need to opt out or create a special department with trained drivers who can handle emergencies in their car other than getting stabbed and shot.
If you got like Uber X, Uber XL, Uber Green Comfort, Uber Comfort, everything, you could definitely do like Uber Med, there you go, or Uber Ambulance or whatever it is, where you have somebody who's trained, and let's say maybe it's EMTs. They might have their own job, and then they can work doing that on the side or something. People who are trained, maybe you go through training if you are a driver, and they say, hey, look,
we'll pay you to get trained.
We'll pay for you to get trained. We'll pay you X amount more to make it worth it, whatever it might be. And then those people who are online will get those types of rides that are coming in instead of anything could happen.
But I mean, Chris,
I for one am not trained to be able to do that. Again, I'm like you. I don't want all of that in my vehicle because, well, that's my personal vehicle on top of that. So I don't need all of that, especially if I'm transporting my family and stuff around.
100%.
So to me, I don't think it's something that is a good thing. I don't think it's. I mean, for patients and that need to get somewhere, and I can understand like if you're older and you're going to like the doctors because of whatever particular reason, and absolutely non-emergent, that's one thing, because older people who can't drive, they don't have to rely on trying to find a family member or friend or something to be able to take them to the doctors. I understand that aspect, but
there is a liability issue in that one too, right? First of all, this is a lose-lose proposition for the passenger and the driver. The passenger is getting into someone's car who's not trained to equip, or handle emergencies in case they're having one, right? That's a lose for the patient or the passenger. Definitely a lose for the driver, okay? Because now I'm opening the Pandora's box if I touch you, but humanity says somebody is really having a stroke in my backseat. I gotta help this person. You want to touch him, but I mean, you don't know any of that. But the other thing is, even if they're going to the doctor, most elderly people who are not, supposed to drive anymore, let's say, right? You have to be really careful because these people can just fall and break a hip or leg getting in and out of your car. But if you do get out and hold them by the arm and do something happens, that's another liability. So I'm like, I don't know, but I'm like, this to me, I don't want to opt out. I don't want to do it. I honestly don't want to do it. Besides getting sick and catching a virus or whatever, I feel bad for the patients because they're all in the grasp of a greedy insurance company not paying for special transportation for them, which they should have, right? And they're putting him in a Lyft because it's cheaper. I'm like, it's bullshit.
And not only that, they're cutting back on services that are needed, like EMT and ambulatory. I know there's a shortage. I understand that, and you got to try to figure out what you can do to make sure everything. And yes, it's $1,000 or more for an ambulance ride, but most of the time insurance is going to cover it. I mean, I understand people that might not have insurance, and at that point, you're hey, trust me, I get it. Like, I haven't had insurance for a long time, for a while. I have it now, but before that, I didn't have it. And what would I have to, if something happened, that would have been on me. And I would have probably tried to either just like sweep it under the rug or something. So I understand when if patients or people who don't have insurance are watching this and they're like, well, what if this? I get it. Like, but here's the thing, as we said earlier in the show, when it comes to your safety as a driver or as a rider, your safety is more important than other things, because if you're not around to be able to enjoy, the fruits of your labor or family or whatever it might be, well, it's not worth it then at that point, because you're not here. So you want to make sure that sometimes you don't cheap out or chintz out on certain things, like the proper care that's needed. And these companies that are doing this need to realize that, like, a driver is not going to have the same knowledge and know-how to be able to handle situations if something that seemed non-emergent at the time becomes emergent from the time that you talk to them to the time that they're trying to get in the car and go to the hospital, go to a doctor, whatever it might be.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.